Doing Sports Talk Worldwide with some news from the world of boxing. So y'all know what time it is. You ain't in a rush to get concussed, baby. Now, in the boxing world, it's got the Mike Tyson, Roy Jones thing going on, and it's gonna be on September 12th. We also know the other story. Hey, what Canelo gonna do, right? Because his date is taken by Jones and Mike Tyson. So what he gonna come up with? Better be a good opponent. That's kind of going down. The Wilder Tyson Fury thing. My man ain't talking, but I'm gonna do an extra video about that. He ain't talking, right? That's something going on. But I'm listening to the articles and things is going on because it's gonna be some hype going on with the fight. Even though for me, it's gonna be a pay-per-view exhibition, a pay-per-view sparring session. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if we really need that, but it's gonna be a little entertainment, and it's two other, the baddest dudes ever. Just to see them in the ring. But I don't know if you want to do that pay per view and make a big thing about it, and then say consistently that it's really a sparring session and won't be nothing really going down. It's pretty hard sell. So let's see what happens going there. But I'm just hearing a lot of stuff. I'm thinking, Floyd Mayweather came out. I was reading an article about him saying his top five, fighters of all time. And, the article was like, man, there ain't no Muhammad Ali in there. There ain't no Mike Tyson in there. And then a couple of other, Sugar Ray Leonard or Sugar Ray Robinson in there. So the article was mad at him because, the name Floyd you know, came up with Larry Holmes, right? Best jab ever, beat everybody in his era. They ain't lying. You can't really go wrong with Larry Holmes. Just people, you supposed to say this and you supposed to say that. Floyd Mayweather has his reason for saying Larry Holmes. Pernell Whitaker. Now, who ain't gonna say Pernell Whitaker unless you don't know who Pernell Whitaker is? He's probably the very best defensive fighter ever. And saying that only, you might get somebody to push up on you with Willie Pep or Floyd Mayweather himself, right, or something like that. But you're gonna be hard pressed to find a better defensive fighter than a Pernell Whitaker. There's enough offense to keep you honest. Won pretty much damn near all his fights. Got robbed with De La Hoya, but everybody know that. He outclasses a lot of people. He ain't supposed to be in there. Aaron Pryor. I can just be like moving right along because everybody know how bad Aaron Pryor is. Everybody. He said Aaron Pryor lost one fight to drugs. Yeah, but everybody else, if your name wasn't drugs, you got beat up. Aaron Pryor name in there. There's somebody else he named in there. Don't matter. The names he explained why they were in there. Oh, Roberto Duran. You know what I mean? Roberto Duran. Anybody pushing up on that? Really? But it's some other names you could put in there, whatever. But his reasons, he listed them. Duran beat up everybody, and moved up weight divisions and was in some fights, man. So all of those people are respectable. You're gonna be upset. But my point was like, just this: Mike Tyson, if he is the greatest of all time, I don't think so. And if so, if he's gonna be in your top five, then Lennox Lewis is 3 or something because Tyson's not in front of Lennox Lewis. We kind of always try to slip that through. And I'd like to make sure we clear that up every single time. If you mention Mike Tyson in the top of anything, he's behind Lennox Lewis probably 2 spots at least, right? Just like Mayweather is at least 2 spots in front of Manny Pacquiao. Unless you got Manny Pacquiao number 2, then you got to give Mayweather the championship and then make another something up for him, the franchise GOAT or something on top of it. But he's supposed to be 2 spots in front of Pacquiao. Period. And no, it is what it is. The same excuses or the same things went down. You know what I mean? So, Pacquiao, Mike Tyson got more losses than Lennox Lewis and Floyd Mayweather. Right? Got more losses. Bottom line. Another one is even bigger than that one. That one's big already. They got more losses. Okay, but okay. Then I beat you. That should give him some points, right? When we fought, I beat you. Convincingly. Right? In both cases. It's very, very similar, isn't it? I was always trying to fight you. Always. Lennox Lewis was trying to fight Mike Tyson early. When everybody keeps trying to say Mike Tyson had about an 18-month prime, that nobody should have messed with him from August '86 to December '87 before he fought Holyfield, right in there. If you fought him in there, you couldn't beat him. But we gotta have a prime. Got to be a little longer than that, man. What the people, man? We ain't got time machines in here. I was good 12, 13 years. You was about 18 months. After that, everybody beat you. It was excuses, right? But Lennox was always there. Lennox was ready to fight. Then Mike Tyson fought Evander Holyfield instead of Lennox Lewis, and Holyfield will tell you that, attest to that every time. He thought I was the easier out, and he didn't fight Lennox Lewis. Lewis got step aside money. Matter of fact, Riddick Bowe, we know that, the legendary. I'd rather throw this belt in the trash can. And people just think, well, he just threw the belt in the trash can. You ain't gonna tell him what he's doing. But if you know what the history, Lennox Lewis was supposed to fight Razor Ruddock, who was extremely dangerous at that time. Make sure that's clear. And who was supposed to fight? Evander Holyfield and Riddick Bowe. The winners of those two fights fight for undisputed. Riddick Bowe said, but WBC demanded that it happens because the other ones was cool. Riddick Bowe said, "No, I'm gonna do something else," right? But the WBC said, "No, no, no, that's not what was supposed to happen." Right? Riddick Bowe got to fight Lennox Lewis. This tournament's not over yet. This is the semifinals. But what about the finals? They ignored the finals. You gotta be a bad dude when the finals get ignored. Make sure that's clear. All over boxing. When the finals get ignored and somebody don't get fought in them finals, he's always gonna be very awesome. Right? His name is a Charlo or something. You know, very, very awesome. It's not somebody or a Devin Haney. Franchise belts just popped up because the Devin Haney and Charlo and them names gonna be awesome. That's what Lennox Lewis was at that time. So boom, I'm gonna throw this belt in the trash, right? And I'm gonna still talk some smack. But Lennox Lewis was there to fight the whole time. Beat everybody he faced, right? Got up against the dude he lost, and he should have gave him some seconds to fight. That was ridiculous what all of them were called. But it don't matter. Lennox Lewis is supposed to be in front of Mike Tyson, and so is Floyd Mayweather in front of Manny Pacquiao. I beat you. I was trying to fight you in 2009. You didn't take a dope test. And that's why that fight fell through. The world knows. Freddie Roach done told everybody that it was your fault or our fault, remember? So therefore, you weren't ready to fight in 2009. Just because mainstream media was talking smack to Mayweather about who are you to ask for doping, well, everybody should be doped. It's boxing, for crying out loud. That's what he was saying then, and he was paying a lot of money, right? Astronomical figures to make sure that everybody's playing on the same playing field. But it was rebuked by mainstream media, and Pacquiao was like, I ain't fighting. I don't care about that. Shoot, man, I don't like needles. what time is it? And he was cool. Everybody was cool with Pacquiao. Not Mayweather, though. Right? But I was there ready to fight you. That's the whole point about that. Right? So, and then, when we fought, I beat you. Right? And you have way more losses than I do. So those are the things. And here's another little tidbit. Right? Mike Tyson is the guy who knocks everybody out. Right? Mike Tyson's 50-6, 44 KOs. That's a 76% knockout ratio. Right? So, but Lennox Lewis is 41-2, 32 KOs. That's a 73% knockout ratio. But Lennox is known as a tactician or whatever. But a lot of people, when you talk about the hardest puncher ever, his name does come up. But Lennox Lewis has a 73%. That's only 3% behind Mike Tyson, who's the juggernaut coming at you and knocking you out. So it's it's the same thing. Then listen to Manny Pacquiao, 62-7, 39 KOs. That's a 55% knockout ratio. Floyd Mayweather is 50-0, right? 27 KOs. That's a 54% knockout ratio. He's only 1% behind Manny Pacquiao, the exciting one. And Mayweather is the boring one. And the people think he didn't knock people out. What you're doing there is you're omitting Pretty Boy Floyd. That's what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Super feather, that guy right there, lightweight, stuff like that. Junior welterweight. Just he got Gatti up there, going up there in a 4-year span from 130 all the way up to 147. Once he got 147, people are going to get knocked out. You ain't knocking out Zab Judah and them, man. They bigger than you. You just moving up here. It's just normal. But I still knocked out just 1% less than Manny Pacquiao, who's known for knockouts for some reason. Right? And the thing about Mayweather, too, is most of this is done on enemy territory. After Pretty Boy Floyd, he started fighting these people with names that people were going for early in his career, actually, because people were going for Corrales too. But bottom line is, it's basically enemy territory. People ain't going for Mayweather, which means it's total domination, right? And that guy will be called boring. But let's make one thing very, very clear about boring. Boring just means you didn't have a damn thing to cheer about. That's what boring means. And with Mayweather, his total obvious domination leads you to believe that you've been bored. Just because you and your boys didn't have too much to stand up about in that Manny Pacquiao Floyd Mayweather fight, but you stood up in round 4. You know, cheers, shoot, we won that round. But you stood up in round 6 because Mayweather got hit again, didn't he? But the other rounds was kind of quiet, some nail biting, you know, some silence going on in there, and that would lead you to believe that there was a boring atmosphere. What you could have been cheering about is a total domination of a fighter that was, all of that. Punches and bunches, foot movement, hand speed, foot speed, right? Head movement. That guy, 2 straight right hands in the beginning of that fight, changed that fight. And that's what's going on. So I don't really see, I did a video last week about it, Mayweather, Pacquiao in front of Mayweather, period, right? And that's the exact same thing I'm talking about when we talk Mike Tyson. I know he's about to fight Roy Jones and with hyping and all that, but Mike Tyson in front of Lennox Lewis. And I think Holyfield might have got something to say about that too, because Holyfield, right now, it's like Mike Tyson gonna fight somebody, but he wasn't trying to fight me. Still. So I think Holyfield wouldn't even want Tyson's name in front of his. Tyson is the bigger name, period. But we ain't talking about that. We're talking about who's legendary. When we talking about GOAT conversations and who's the top 5 and stuff like that, which means they're very best. It's not too much separation here. I'm just saying. But Lennox Lewis is definitely in front of Mike Tyson, right? And Floyd Mayweather is definitely in front of Manny Pacquiao. I don't really think it's too much of an argument here. What do you think? Doma Sports Talk Worldwide. And I'm up out of here, y'all.